talking about AI governance, hot topic these days, and I'm thrilled to have Anand Raghavan with us. Just a quick background on Anand. He was the VP of products for AI at Cisco, previously the co-founder and chief product officer at ArmorBlocks, which is one of the industry's first GPT-powered protection against targeted email attacks. Prior to that, then Cisco actually acquired ArmorBlocks back in July 2023, and that's how you made your way over to Cisco. Prior to that, Anand launched ThoughtSpot, so he's a bit of an entrepreneur. Brought that out of stealth mode and built and ran product marketing and product management teams for them. And then prior to that, Anand was a founding team member and product manager at Blue Jeans Network, where you grew that. You're number 4. You went from 4 to 200 plus
employees,
and 2,000 plus customers. And then before that, got a background in engineering. So spent about 6 years with NVIDIA. So thank you, welcome. Appreciate you being here.
Yeah, excited to be here.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about your kind of journey. You got entrepreneur kind of background, startups. Just a little bit of your journey and background to your role now as the VP of products over AI.
Yeah. I think in the startup world, one of the interesting things is very rarely would you get a bet right and retire. The stories, the Silicon Valley stories you hear of the millions that somebody made out of the blue. But what you get is the excitement of catching an industry trend before it happens, right? So I was fortunate to see a couple of those, like getting into Blue Jeans as their first engineer when video conferencing was not a cloud-based thing, what we take for granted right now. Seeing that wave, joining ThoughtSpot as their first marketing guy when it was still dashboard-based BI to natural language-based BI, seeing that. And I still remember in 2017 when we were raising money for ArmorBlocks. It was the summer of 2017. We were talking to a few investors we knew. I think we had come to RSA that year as well. And we told them, look, there was this paper that came out called Attention is All You Need. It's going to change how people think about language. Email security needs language-based interventions. So we're going to build an email security startup that analyzes the language in the emails.
Yeah.
And most of the investors, the feedback was, we'll write you guys a check. We believe in you guys, but why email? It's a dead space. Don't do that, right? But then, we didn't see how big language is going to be, that it is going to be what it is now, but we could see that there is something foundationally relevant in that technology.
Yep.
So that's what we were able to do at ArmorBlocks. How do you build generative AI data pipelines, not for the generation side of the house, but to classify emails? And that's kind of what we repurposed when we came into Cisco. So we were acquired into the security business group inside of Cisco. And as of December of last year, we are now a newly formed AI software and platforms team. And we have the fun of collaborating across a lot of business units within Cisco that are building AI and generative AI powered software. And we work with them and bring really interesting products to market.
So the beginning of that you mentioned is language was the big kind of the foundation. That's the transferable component that sounds like it came over. Any more on that, on how that's transitioned and supported the role now as we get into more of the AI tools within Cisco?
Yeah. So for us as a team, we were about 110-ish employees. And we knew how to use language models as classifiers. Yeah. How do you classify emails into good and bad? How do you detect different kinds of topics in emails? Like, for example, all of you would have gotten emails that tell you, that look like it's coming from your VP asking you to go buy gift cards and scratch the codes and put it in a spreadsheet, right? So we knew how to do that. But then we had to come in and start using language models for the generation side of the house. So the first product family we built out at Cisco was AI assistants into different Cisco products. And we have a fairly technical set of products in our portfolio, right? Now, if you're a network admin and you didn't want to click in the UI in 10 different places to go create a policy or change a policy, can you just express that in natural language and get the product to do what you want it to do, right?
Sure.
That's the reskilling, if you will, that we had to do as a team.
Yep.
That take what we learned in building Gen AI production pipelines and change it into building generative models, right? So that was the first set of things we did. And then we all learned as we went along across Cisco, not just in our team, but AI folks across Cisco.
Got it. Cool. I'd love to hear a little bit from you on AI specific to cybersecurity and what you see, kind of Cisco's vision, but also what you're seeing, what excites you about Cisco playing and more in that space.
Yeah. So one of the people that have I don't claim to be someone who's been 2 decades in cybersecurity. I mean, I've been there for about 7, 8, 9 years, and that's early for a lot of people attending this conference, right? But AI has always been in cybersecurity, right? There have always been machine learning models. There have been probably 30, 40 years. It's not something new. And AI has been part of what we do in cybersecurity at Cisco for a long while too. All of our products have outlier detection algorithms, different kinds of machine learning algorithms. I think in this way, what is different is what Gen AI has been able to do, both for the good guys and the bad guys, in automating and accelerating things. Like, for example, when I was in the email security world and you were worried about business email compromise, fake emails coming to you, you had to script it. You had to write in good English, right? Today, Gen AI can create a perfectly crafted email. Like if I want to say, I send an invoice to Deloitte every month, and I'm the CFO of a company, now make this new email look like I'm changing my bank account from bank 1 to bank 2, and make it look really genuine, that I have a genuine reason for why I'm shifting the bank account. And let's say I send that to Deloitte, the Deloitte team, it looks very genuine and legitimate, right? So that the ability to do harm with Gen AI at scale is something that's very new. Right. So, the companies that are building security products to protect against this harm have to adapt, to learn to use the same set of technologies to protect. The other part of this is whenever there's a new wave of technology, I mean, we are inundated with buzzwords. And especially, I mean, I've also been in marketing for a while. Authentic marketing means, yes, you have to use the buzzword sometimes, but can you explain it to people in a way that they understand what is the rationale behind the buzzword? So when we say AI in our products at Cisco, for example, and when I sit down at CISOs, I tell them, when we say AI, here are 4 things we mean. And here are examples of each of those 4 things from our products that are real, so that you can connect with what is real. And so the terms that you use are authentic, right? So today, like for example, in 2023, LLM was the buzzword. In 2024, RAG was the buzzword. 2025 is all about agents. I mean, if you've been here for more than 24 hours, you've heard the word agent probably 100 times in the last 24 hours, right? So simplifying that down to the buyer, to the people using your products, so that they can understand what your product really does for them. I think that's going to be a challenge in the world of cybersecurity. Not just building the products, but helping the market understand why your product is relevant.
Yeah. So on the product side, so what would you say kind of security landscape? And I love the example of the, how the emails used to be generated, automated, right well. If we go to the other side, the good guys, right? How do you see the products evolving to address that? What type of changes do you see happening, kind of significant advancements around that?
Yeah, so one of the interesting trends that we see, like let's take the Security Operations Center as an example, right? And across the industry, we are seeing the challenge of not enough people that are technically trained and ready to join the workforce to run SOCs. So we have an XDR product in the market. And that product, for the last year and a half, we have invested in building, I'll use the buzzword, agentic AI into that, and building AI assistance into the product. So one of the things we've been seeing in the market is, if I'm a tier 1 SOC analyst, I just started my career, I don't want to keep running to the tier 3 analyst all the time for help. So in our AI assistant, let's say an incident happened, there's 100 alerts that showed up, and I'm a tier 1 analyst, I'm confused as to what I should do. Our assistant does a good job of summarizing it for me in natural language. Here, this timestamp, this happened, and then the following set of things happen. And here is what we recommend you do next. So it gives me a slow onboarding journey to learn at my job, to make my job easier for me. Right? If you look at how we are transforming the networking academy that we have, the NetAcad, as it is called, where we are training the next generation of networking professionals. We're bringing a lot of this AI-based simplification of the learning as well to make it easy for them to learn, right? So that is one trend you will see in the industry, that when you're upskilling, when you're reskilling, Gen AI is really a powerful tool to help your workforce learn faster, get better at their jobs, and get to the next levels in their career faster. If you can enable that and show an on-ramp towards that.
Yeah. One of the things I thought was interesting, I'd love to hear you kind of share a little bit more broadly, is, while we're talking security and we're going to dive into that, your role is broader than just security. Can you talk a little bit about your kind of the breadth of your role as it relates to AI at Cisco? I think that's helpful context, and then we'll dive into the security side.
Yeah. So for me personally, I've mostly worked in companies that are less than 300 people. 300 is big for me. And going from that, I was at NVIDIA for 6 years. when NVIDIA was less than 5,000 people. And I got acquired into security, and my manager managed more than 5,000.
You still hold all that stock.
I wish I did. That's a story for another day over some drinks. So when you're a large company like that, a few things happen. One is you have the ability to impact organizations and people across so many different sectors of what they do in their lives.
Yeah.
Right? In our case, if you look at anything from WebEx to collaboration, all the way to routers, which people don't even see, powers the internet, right? There's a lot you can do. So coming in, for me as somebody that's always grounded in learning, it's like a kid in a candy store. I mean, there's so much I don't know that I ask so many people and learn from them. And for us as a group, that's been one of the things. So AI assistants meant we had to work with teams that are building different products and learn a few things. One, what does the product do? Two, who's the persona that uses it? Three, what are the struggles they face using it?
Yeah.
And how do we make it better with the AI assistants, right? When we came to AI Defense, which is a security-focused product, the whole question was, okay, how are customers using AI? What are the challenges they face? How do we make it better for them using securing AI, right? We're working on a third product family right now, which I can't talk about just yet, but at Cisco Live, we're going to talk about it. That's focused on the networking side of the house. So I'm dusting off I'm an electrical engineer. So I'm dusting off my Tannenbaum and my networking textbooks from 25 years back and reliving those concepts.
Things have changed 25 years.
Yeah, the foundation is still the same, right?
Yeah.
So it's about building products for different parts of the business. And we are a very small team, which means we get to work very actively with each of those business units as well. Yeah. As a startup person coming into Cisco, my first response was, oh, there can't be that many amazing engineers at this place. All of them are in startups, because that was my world. It has been incredible to see the kind of amazing engineers we have in the organization that understand these protocols. To your point about like 25-year-old protocols, some of them have been on the standards bodies writing those.
Yep.
Some of them actively contribute to some of those standards bodies right now. The Cisco fellow, right? I was on a conversation a couple of days back where they were asking me about quantum and networking. I was like, well, I know a Cisco fellow who's working on that. I should go ask him that question, right? So that ability to kind of interact with people with this kind of experience and depth has been awesome.
Yeah. So let's dive a little more into security. And I think when a lot of our partners, our clients, when they think of Cisco, they think networking.
Yeah.
Right. Not as quick to go to security. Talk a little bit about Cisco's security strategy, vision, direction, and then just some of the products, and then we'll jump into some of the details around.
Yeah.
We'll get into AI governance.
Yeah. So about 5 years back, maybe 6 or 7 years back, if you had thought about security, you may not have directly associated with Cisco, right? Today, between Cisco and Splunk, we are probably the second largest security company out there, just in terms of pure market share.
Yep.
Right. And that means a few different things, right? When you we had about 27 different products in the portfolio. Mm-hmm. We have nicely consolidated that into three things that matter to customers, right? One is protect my employees. Second is protect my cloud assets. Third is, if there's a breach, protect me against it. Or if it happened, how quickly can I resolve it?
Yep.
And those are the three product suites we have: cloud protection, user protection, breach protection.
Yep.
Now, within each of those, we are focused on what is the value a customer is looking for. Like, there are some really interesting shifts happening in the market today, right? So if you think about entities that interact with AI, broadly, there is three kinds of entities that interact with AI in any organization. There is humans, there is machines and workloads, and then there is agents. For humans, we have Duo Security as part of our portfolio, a company we acquired about 5 years back. Duo is an integral part of our user authentication part. And a lot of your organizations probably use that for two-factor authentication, right? For machines and workloads, we have our ICE product, Identity Services Engine. So that tracks machine identity, workload identities, things like that. For agents, we have AI Defense. So when you think about Cisco's identity intelligence product, that is probably the only product out there that can actually cut across this entire gamut of entities that interact with AI. And it's able to bring value to the customer. So ultimately, it's about, are you moving the needle for the customer? So that's one example of how the portfolio is comprehensive, right? If you take another example, and if you look at AI agents running in your data center and trying to accomplish something in a campus network, like say on your laptop, and that is accessing some data that is sitting in Splunk, and maybe that is using the SD-WAN network to go to something else. How do you tag and track an agent's behavior across this entire gamut of domains? Mm-hmm. Right? Again, using and you'll probably hear more about it this week, using our universal ZTNA narrative. The way we're able to enforce zero trust across this entire cross-domain infrastructure, right? The value really has been bringing security and networking together. And that's where really the value of our security portfolio comes in. Securing AI has been something more recent for us. I mean, now is when the market is mature and starting to use it. We started working on it slightly over a year ago. We also acquired a company into our fold called Robust Intelligence. That was an integral part of what we launched in the market. We also partner actively with this company called Scale AI. Scale is one of Cisco's portfolio companies from an investment perspective, and they help us build some models as well. All of that went into our AI defense product, which is our AI security product.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about AI defense, and I think let's start with, as it relates to your strategy and the three primary products. Where does AI defense fit in? And then also, like, what is the core challenges that you're hearing from the customers that you guys are looking to help solve for?
Yeah, a great question. So the first product family, like I was mentioning earlier, was the AI assistants that we were building. So as we were building those and launching it out of the market, one of the first questions that came to us is, wait a minute, we need to secure this from harm. We need to make sure that our customers that use our AI assistants are protected. So we said, okay, let's look at the market. Let's see what is out there. And they were like, well, if we have this problem, our customers have this problem too. Maybe this is what something building. And that's how the journey of building AI defense started, right? And when you think about that product itself, there is two kinds of things customers worry about in the market. One is the shadow AI pub. My employees are using ChatGPT. That ship has sailed. I mean, I can't say this is not an authorized product to use. I mean, exactly like 10 years back, if you asked a CIO, how many employees use Slack? And the CIO says, no, we send out emails every week. You cannot use Slack. And you talk to the Slack account manager for that company. They'll tell you, yeah, I have 5 different contracts with this company. 50% of the employees are on Slack, right? You have the same problem with Gen AI in the enterprise today, right? And it is genuinely employees trying to do right by the organization. They want to learn better. They want to reskill better. They want to be more productive in their jobs. So how do you empower your employees to get their jobs done better, right? That is the first part of the challenges that CIOs face. The second part of this is more around enabling your customers, either internal or external, using cloud applications. So I'm an airline. I want to build a chatbot for my passengers to use to rebook their flights or to get any assistance while they're traveling with me. I want to build a Gen AI powered chatbot. At the same time, I want to make sure that I don't get on the news, that my chatbot behaves in a safe manner. There's no toxicity, harm, abuse. It responds kindly to the passenger like a human agent would, right? I also want to make sure that my competitors are not coming and asking my chatbot, hey, tell me all the pricing info you were trained on. And suddenly I leak training data, right? I also want to make sure that a hacker is not trying to learn the system prompt that my model was built on. Like a good analogy I tell customers about system prompts is, those of us that have kids, what we tell our kids when we have visitors coming home for dinner, please look at the guests, don't be on your phone all the time, smile at them once in a while, please talk to them during dinner, right? It's the same thing you tell a model, don't give toxic responses, always respond politely to the user. Now, if you steal a system prompt, it makes it easy for you to hijack a model, as it's called. You know how to get it to do unsafe responses, right? So you want to protect the system prompt. Similarly, you want to protect against prompt injection attacks that might try to steal data that is sitting behind these models, right? So, so safety, security, and privacy are those 3 important kinds of threats. And that is the foundation of protecting the cloud applications with AI defense.
That's been the interesting thing for me as I've kind of explored this area more, getting to know Cisco, getting to know the team, is really why is this really a big issue for the customer? It's been a real eye-opening for me on this prompt injection, right? And what you can elicit from a model. The real risk around it is, are your customers or even employees, right? Internal, external customers utilizing the model and getting results that wouldn't align with what the company wants, right? And that's really ultimately what this solution, AI defense, is geared around.
Correct. Right? Yeah. So if you think about, so today, as we have adopted SaaS as an industry over the last 10, 15 years, we understand really well how to take software from development to production in a safe and secure manner. We know pen testing, we know all the other software standards we need to comply with to have secure software. Model development is a whole new variable that security organizations are grappling with. What does it mean to take a model from development to production, right? So if you think about the model development lifecycle, even earlier on, as a user is downloading a model file, is it a safe file? So model files can be hacked. with malware injected inside of it. So there are these file formats called pickle files. As you unzip a pickle file, if you will, it can actually run malicious code on your device. So can you scan the model files and say they are safe? That's the first part of it. The second part of it is, as a security team, do you know all the models that your company, that your employees are playing with in the different cloud assets that you have?
Yeah.
So visibility of model development environments becomes a challenge. The third part of that is the model validation part. Like if I'm in the machine learning team, I've taken a publicly available frontier model and I've fine-tuned it with my company's data, and I'm ready to take it to production. Right. One of the interesting things that Cisco researchers discovered about a year back is that until about a year back, the big model companies will tell you, look, we have built alignment into these models, basically teaching the model how to behave properly, not to provide toxic responses, things like that. And so their promise to you was, look, these models are safe. You can use these models, right? What we discovered is that when you fine-tune the model, which most large organizations like all of yours would have to do, fine-tuning destroys alignment. So what that means is before fine-tuning, if the model is good at not responding to unsafe questions, after fine-tuning, models are 3 times more likely to be jailbroken and 22 times more likely to provide harmful responses. So we just published the State of AI Security report last month, and this is one of the very interesting findings we put out there. So this is part of the Cisco AI research team that's putting out this data, right? So now you're at a stage where you're a security organization. I'm a developer that just came and told you, hey, by the way, I just fine-tuned this model and I want to take it to production. And if you read this report, you're like, oh my God, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Right? Is this model ready to take to production? So how do you scan the model? How do you do a vulnerability assessment? So that's the next part of what a product like AI Defense does. You can click a button and within minutes, it'll tell you, we ran these 200 tests and the model failed 27% of them. So we don't just stop there. We tell you, okay, it failed 27% of them, but here are the compensating controls you can apply so that you can run this in production. And for those 27%, we have guardrails in place to protect you. Right? So that's the validation part of it. And the last part of this is when you run it in production, how do you make sure that when a customer asks a question or gets a response, it meets all the safety, security, and privacy guardrails, right? So that's kind of the scope of model development lifecycle, and we want to be with our customers through the entire development lifecycle journey.
Let's dig into guardrails a little bit. So guardrails is thrown around a lot, and the thing that sticks with me is not all guardrails are created equal. What's unique around AI defense from a guardrail standpoint? What differentiate you guys from competitors in your space?
Yeah, so as a startup person, I always say more power to startups. You need startups to fuel innovation. But one of the things that I find challenging in this new world of AI is if you want to start an AI-focused company, one of the biggest challenges you will face is the data that you need to train those models. And how quickly can you ramp up to get to a place where you have enough data to train your models? So back in my Armorblocks days, you were building models to identify bad emails. Now, where do you get a large corpus of email data to train on? A customer is not going to say, oh, sure, access all my billions of emails and train on this, right? So the publicly available one was the email data set from Enron from 2003.
Yeah.
And there's about 500,000 emails. It's not that big a data set, right? So then as you get more customers, your models get better, right? Yeah. So that's one of the challenges that AI security startups face in today's world. That there's a lot of them out there. I think I can probably name 15 of them, and there's probably 15 more here that I'll say, right? The challenge you're going to face is, what is the real customer problem you're trying to solve? Is it a niche where you solve just a few of them, and there's a lot more that they have to combine different products together? So one challenge with AI-based startups is data. The second challenge is if I'm only solving a niche, a part of the problem, and my customer has to buy multiple products, if those models don't talk to each other, don't learn from each other, then they don't get non-linearly better, right? Yes. So when you think about guardrails, that's one of the things. The more the guardrails you can build and the more the real attacks you can catch in the wild, the better your models get. And so there's a tight interaction between what your product sees and how your models get better based on what you're seeing. So you see new attacks in the wild, it gets better, right? So for us, for example, Talos is our threat research organization that's probably the best out there in terms of their capabilities, right? So for AI defense, we work very closely with the Talos team. So the Talos threat intel team and the Talos threat research team find new attacks in the wild and they tell us about it.
Yep.
And then our product people write the detection algorithms to fix it. So that's what makes our guardrails interesting, I would say.
Yeah.
any security vendor should never say we catch 100% of the threats. That's impossible. But how quickly can you iterate and make this better? So that's one part of it. The second part of it is really understanding the standards that cater to these guardrails.
Yeah.
So in the US, there's 3 sets of standards that are most commonly used by customers. One is the OWASP LLM-10, second is the MITRE Atlas, and third is the NIST Risk Management Framework and the Adversarial Machine Learning Framework. Our team has people that have contributed to these standards. Our team has people, in fact, the NIST Adversarial Machine Learning Framework, I think out of the 5 authors, 2 are Cisco employees. And so we understand these really well and the impact it has on our customers.
And that's the research group?
That's the research group.
And that a lot of that came through, I believe, Robust Intelligence, correct? Or is that in addition?
No, so yes, Robust Intelligence brought some amazing researchers on board.
Yep.
But if you look at our security and trust organization, there's an amazing security professionals out there with deep expertise in AI, and those are in these standards organizations. You look at our Talos research team, there's a whole bunch of people there.
Yeah.
You look at some of the Cisco fellows and distinguished engineers, many of them are already in here, right? So yes, Robust brought several researchers, but we have a deep bench already before that happened.
Yeah.
And of course, the newer assets we are looking at in terms of bringing on to Cisco continue to invest into that as well.
Cool. So you talked a little bit about product, a little bit about the product and the focus areas. What are some of the other, I guess, core product features? And one of the things we hear come up is the ability to audit, right?
Yep.
And compliance, right?
Yeah.
So within the solution today, what exists around audit and compliance?
Yes, great question. So again, one of the philosophies we have tried to have both on the security side of our product portfolio as well as across the company is to build open platforms so that our customers can use it with whatever they have, that they're not forcing up them to only buy Cisco products to get the benefits they need, right? So what we've done is a few things for AI defense. One, any attack we discover automatically gets tagged into these publicly known taxonomies, right? All of these 3 different standards, right? 2, we are actively building partnerships with other organizations that customers might use downstream to take action. Like, for example, we just announced our partnership with ServiceNow.
Yeah.
So if you're an organization that has a ServiceNow AI risk and governance platform, and AI defense from Cisco discovered some of these threats in your environment, it automatically feeds into their AI control tower. So now, let's say, for example, I'm an employee that is a lazy engineer. I put in some of my source code into ChatGPT to find a bug in a code I wrote, right? And my risk got slapped. Company said, look, that's not allowed policy. And it got flagged into ServiceNow. And maybe the next step is to put me through a security awareness training. So you can automatically set up that workflow through ServiceNow to say, okay, Anand needs to go through security awareness training because he didn't follow process.
Yeah.
Right? So all of those workflows. So ultimately, detecting something is only a part of the solution, right? Proactively, what do you need to do to make sure it doesn't happen again in the future? And that involves a lot of parts of how you operate as a business. And we want to be able to make sure that even with AI defense, we are giving you the right set of tools and taxonomy and alerts for you to be able to do all of that. Of course, we natively integrate into Splunk. It's part of our portfolio. But beyond that, they're also integrating into the ecosystem so that you can use it for whatever you want.
Any examples you can give of customers that have already adopted some of your products and what their experience has been, what they've been able to achieve? Anything that you can share with?
Yeah, I mean, I was using me as a developer as an anonymized example, but we see that.
Okay.
Even within Cisco, for example, we have our own private version of ChatGPT called Bridget. Bridget is protected with AI defense, and that team has told us that the amount of stuff that they're able to now stop or get visibility into with this in place has been interesting. In fact, one of the quotes I say a lot is one of the CISOs I've spoken to in the past. He asked me, Anand, do you know why you have security guardrails in place in an organization? And I said, why? He said, well, no, he asked me, do you know why cars have brakes? I said, why? He said, well, cars have brakes so that you can drive faster, right? So when you think about things like AI defense guardrails, as an employee of an organization, if I know that my access to Gen AI is protected with guardrails, I can do my job faster without thinking twice about, okay, should I really be doing this? Is there a policy I'm violating, right? Same way with cloud applications. So if you ask most employees in large organizations, they want to do better by their company. They want to build better applications for their customers, right? The challenge is AI security is a lot of the ways in which a model can be compromised are very difficult to understand even for a technologist, right? So if every time I'm working on a model, I have to think about what are the ways in which it might impact my organization, it slows down my development life cycle, right? So that's where having a product like this actually enables faster velocity in these organizations, right? So what we hear constantly from VPs of AI, VPs of engineering, from VPs of InfoSec is that you're taking some of this weight off of my shoulders
Sure.
so that I can tell the teams, hey, by the way, as long as this vulnerability assessment goes through fine, you're good with taking these to production. You're good with working with these, right? So those are the early validation they're getting in the market.
Yeah.
This is still very much an early stage market in the sense that, so if I think back to 12 months ago, a lot of the companies were telling us, look, we are just kicking the tires on these models, trying to see what is possible. This year, the sentiment has changed. People are actually taking things to production.
Mm-hmm.
People are getting live feedback from their customers on what they put out there, good and bad.
Yeah.
Right? So there's two sets of concerns companies have today with Gen AI. One is around factuality, groundedness, accuracy of results. What is the trustworthiness of a response they put out there? And there's a whole ecosystem of products around that. The second is around safety and security.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, those map to, if you look at surveys done on Gen AI with CISOs and CIOs, the number one concern they say is around awareness. I don't know what I can do with it. I don't know if it's going to give me accurate responses. But the number two set of concerns is all around privacy and safety and security. So if you're able to solve for that, that's one of the things G2 spoke about at the keynote yesterday, that AI safety and security is going to be the biggest accelerator for Gen AI adoption in the enterprise, right? Which is what we're hearing from customers as well. Early days, a lot of exciting work.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Let's talk a little bit about roadmap. So what's on the horizon for Cisco around AI for the products, but specifically on AI defense?
Yeah, so there's a few interesting things happening in the market today, right? So I was just at Cisco Live EMEA in Amsterdam, and I was talking to a lot of customers in the EU. And as I talk to more customers here, there is growing interest in running your AI in your own environments, in your own data center. Sovereign AI, sovereign data is becoming real challenges, right? So that's one part of what's happening in the market. The second part of what's happening in the market is I don't want to have 15 different enforcement points for AI. Can I have a standard set of enforcement points that I know I can rely on to make sure that I'm protected, my customers are protected, right? So there's three ways in which this market is evolving. One is around, can you give me really good performance for AI security in my data center? Second is the breadth of capabilities, which is, can you support me through the entire model development lifecycle, things like that. Yeah. Third is the breadth of enforcement points. Mm-hmm. So that has been our focus in terms of the roadmap. So when you think about the running AI in the data center, we just made this really interesting announcement with NVIDIA about a month back. Yeah. Secure AI Factory. So what we're trying to do there is on the hardware side, we now have Cisco as a partner along with NVIDIA on their Spectrum-X Ethernet networking reference architecture. Mm-hmm. So Cisco Hyperfabric and Silicon One can actually accelerate AI training and inference workloads in the data center. Now, on top of that, we are offering a security layer which combines AI defense, our Hypershield product, and our hybrid mesh firewall, which is basically running our virtual firewall in the data center. Yep. So now at a port level, in Cisco Smart Switches or in our AI pods that have GPUs, customers can run AI algorithms in the data center to stop attacks right there before it gets into the network, gets anywhere else, right? So that's been a huge area of investment for us. And roadmap, how do you run these models on device? How do you simplify it to be able to run in a very high performance and low cost manner? So that's one area of investment. The second part of that is the breadth of capabilities. So that we spoke about. We're trying to build a pretty broad set of capabilities so that we are able to support our customer through the entire model development lifecycle. The third has been an interesting one for me. So when it comes to enforcement points, what the customer is trying to say is, look, I have employees accessing Gen AI. Can your product give me enforcement for that? Now, because we have a broad set of security portfolio, we are able to offer that. So for employees, we have our secure access product. So we can enforce right there. Now, if you have cloud applications and you want to enforce for that, we have our cloud protection suite and you can do enforcement there. Some of the other interesting things we are working on.
Yeah, within the portfolio.
Yeah. So some companies have multiple models talking to each other. And we have a Hypershield product that actually inspect and enforce there. Right? So based on where you would like to enforce, can you give the customer flexible enforcement points? Some customers tell us, look, I don't want to call it in your cloud. Yeah. Run it to me. I want to run it in my container, in my environment. And I will figure out how to, so we'll just give you an API call. You give us a prompt, give us a response. We'll tell you if it's safe or not, right? So that flexibility of how customers use it, I think is something we are hearing from the market, as we don't know how our AI development roadmap is going to look like. We want you to be able to support us through any of these combinations, right? And that's one of the things they're heavily investing in.
Yeah. You mentioned, last year, go back 12 months, in the AI realm, it was largely kicking the tires, right? Fast forward 12 months now, right? A different ballgame.
Yeah.
What have you heard from your customers on how, and I think this would be relevant for our audience, is how have they gotten executive support to make investments in technologies to help govern? Like what has worked with your customers on how they get support within their organization?
Yeah, so one of the interesting surveys we've been doing in the market is this AI Readiness Index. And I think we've done it for 2 years now, where we look at the market, we surveyed a few thousand companies, so fairly broad data set. And Deloitte, you do your own surveys of the market as well in terms of where the market is. I've seen those, it's pretty good. But in that, what we survey is exactly this, like, where are you in your adoption journey? Like, are you still trying to figure out what the use case is for your customers? Do you know that already? Are you trying to figure out what solution to go with? Right, so that gives us a good pulse on the market and where customers are, right? So it has to be use case driven first. So if I am a CISO, if I'm a VP of AI and I want to build an AI focused product for my customers, the primary question is going to be, is it solving a real problem, or am I AI washing because it's the topic of the times to say I have AI in the product, right? So if it's a real use case and Gen AI can actually help, then definitely it's worth doing. Then the question becomes, how can you monetize it? Not everything can be monetized. Like, for example, there is a strong expectation that you will have an AI assistant in your product that will change how I interact with your product. I don't want to click on a dashboard anymore. Don't make me click on 20 places to find an answer. Can I just ask it to an assistant and get a response back? And with every technology shift, this happens. I mean, when Alta Vista came out and then Google came out, we just fundamentally changed our expectations on search. If a search response doesn't come back within a couple of seconds, you don't go back. You're like, yeah, this is too slow, right? Imagine that. I mean, before that, we had to actually walk into a library, check out a book from the reference section, sit there and read it because you couldn't take it home to understand some nuanced topic. Today, you can just ask a question and you get an answer back instantaneously, right? So that is the expectation from our customers.
Yeah.
That I use this in my personal life. I want this in my professional life, right? So that is one part of it. Is it a real use case? Now you think about the governance side of the house, right? So for us, for example, we have a very strong responsible AI set of guidelines. It's on our website. Many of our customers look at that as well. So have a very strong framing around it, right? One of the things I found frustrating when I started at Cisco was when we started looking at some of these models, we had to fill out a 100-question questionnaire. Why are you using these models? Who's going to access it? What data? Is it anonymized? Is it de-identified? Is it going to be in development? Is it going to be in production as well? Right? Have a really good position on how can you enable your employees by having a very detailed analysis of what they're trying to do, so that they don't have to come back to you for permission at every stage of the development process. Yeah. Right? So once you have that RAI approval, it gets a lot easier to now take things to production, right? The other part of that is to be very agile when it comes to adopting tools that are latest and the greatest in the market. So, for example, in my team, one of the luxuries we have is we kick the tires on a lot of startups products that are out here, right? Because some of them are at the cutting edge of a particular thing that we need to bring our product to the market, to the customers. So always have a pulse on the market on what is the latest that is coming to the market, and make sure that that is bringing needle moving value to your customers, right? And adopt it quickly, right? So you need to have some way to accelerate Gen AI development, because Gen AI development, unfortunately, doesn't happen in months and years. It happens in days and weeks. And if you want to be at the cutting edge of it, you have to be able to turn things around very quickly in the market. And that is a new muscle that we have to build as security organizations, where maybe the cycles of approvals and getting things out there were longer before.
Yeah, on that front, and then we'll this last question, and I'll open it up to see questions from the audience. But on that speed side of things and how fast things are moving now, what's your thoughts with the security organization on the changes that need to happen specific to AI around speed? Just adopting to the rate in which new development happens within your company, right? Those types of things.
Yeah. So one of the things is we all love, I'm joking, we all love the security awareness training videos that we have had to do at our jobs, right? To our training to teach us not to click on bad links and all of those things. the need of the hour is an AI awareness training in terms of teaching people how to use AI in their day jobs, right? And that includes everybody in an organization, including the security teams. Like, what can Gen AI do for them to do their jobs better, right? I can go to ChatGPT and ask it questions that literally help me understand my job better in the world of AI. What are the kinds of threats I should worry about? Like, what is latest in terms of the new kinds of threats and vulnerabilities discovered in the market today, right? So how I consume information, I don't have to necessarily come to a conference like this to learn. I can do that every day with, especially given that today the ChatGPT kind of products also have access to news. It can summarize the latest happenings to me, right?
Yeah.
I can literally set up an alert that says, okay, if you see any topic relevant to, let's say, Deloitte and RSA, send me a summary email.
Yeah.
And do this check every 6 hours. I just get it in my inbox, right? So that's the first part for us to reskill and upskill our security professionals to understand this. Like, one of the most challenging and underappreciated things about security is that the attackers only have to get it right once. You have to get it right tens of millions of times.
Yeah.
Makes it for a very thankless job, right? Where you're really trying to stay at the cutting edge of vulnerabilities in the market, while at the same time making sure you are not a roadblock for development, you're helping accelerate development, right? So, and I think Gen AI can be a very powerful enabler for that, not a blocker for that. But professionals need to take the time to understand the technology, to see how it can help them do their jobs, and also understand the technology enough to know what are the vulnerabilities and risks it poses for their organizations.
Well, Anand, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Appreciate all of you. This is wonderful. Appreciate all the insights.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, everyone.